to the guests and just tell them a little bit about you.
Yo, yo. There we go. What's going on, my people? My name is Olayemi. See you all. One up of Red Hour. Straight out of South London. Obviously, Nigeria. Nice to meet you today.
Yes. So you know what? Today's the first. I assumed you were Ghanaian. How naughty of me.
No. Olayemi.
Of course.
The name says it itself.
Okay.
Straight from
No,
Nige.
I've actually got a friend called Yemi, but his family's Ghanaian.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. So I'm gonna have a little interview with him after this.
Yeah.
So
there must be some Nigerian there.
We've been inside some vibes and just talking behind the scenes. So I want to bring the listeners up to speed. So one of the first things I always ask my guests is like the foundation, the beginning. What sparked music for you? What is your first ever musical memory?
Good question. So I've always had music in my life. Probably I never really identified it as something very specific. I just thought it was normal.
Mm-hmm.
But from primary school, I used to play the saxophone and the drums.
You play sax?
I used to.
Oh, okay.
Not so much now. But when I was 8, 9 years old, I had a saxophone, was having lessons every week when I was in primary school, and the drums. And I continued that into secondary school. But yeah, at some point, I think my attention probably turned more sports, more football, running, gym, and just focusing on my education as well. So I kind of dropped it, but I think that musicalness inside of me had always remained.
Yeah, because one thing my dad keeps reminding me of, because I always said I wasn't the musical person in the family, is you don't choose music, it chooses you. So do you feel like that it just kept tapping and would say like over here, hello music?
Yeah, I think I've always been interested in music in all its facets, but very more so melodically, as opposed to like, for most people it's like rapping, singing, that kind of stuff. But for me, it was actually the instruments, actually hearing. So I've always been like a big fan of like live music. So I remember when I was 21 coming out of uni, I stopped raving because raves were a good place to hear music, but I kind of got same. So from 21, I kind of went into this phase of just anytime I went out, it was live music. So I was just concerts. So this is when concerts were still like £20, £30. So I got to see mad artists. So Nipsey Hussle, R.I.P. I saw him back then. Watched The Throne when Kanye was still saying him and Jay-Z.
Wow.
I saw Tidra Moses in Jazz Cafe. I was seeing so many artists. I was close to see Michael Jackson, R.I.P. again. I had tickets for his show. I saw Prince before he passed. So, and I like a lot of different music.
I was going to say very eclectic. I like it.
Yeah. So from Coldplay, I remember saw Coldplay first time in the O2. This is when it turned from Millennium Dome into the O2. So I was always a fan of music throughout my life from when I was a kid. I also growing up in church. That was obviously a big thing in terms of gospel music. My parents were always blazing off music in the house. My dad had a lot of vinyls, so he listened to a lot of reggae. So we always had a lot of reggae playing around the house, UB40, Bob Marley, and the like. So I think music was always in my life, but I don't think I ever recognized it as something I would do. It was just something that I enjoyed and paid attention to.
Okay, so that being said, what actually sparked music as the career?
Do you know what? I don't even really see it as a career. I just see it as something that I've just enjoyed doing, and I enjoy making people dance. But I'm a busy guy, so actually creatively, pre-lockdown I was into a lot of photography and film, and then lockdown happened, and then I had a random set of decks for my little sister that I actually bought for her in the house, and because I couldn't get out doing any photography, so the creative side of my brain was like, oh, do something. And so I just started DJing. I just started playing around with decks at home. I had no ideas, so it was just me, YouTube, and shout out Smiles, giving me tips. And then at the time, I had discovered the piano maybe a year or two before that. So shout out Major League. I was listening to a lot of their balcony mixes, and I was like, what is this? And I grew up on a lot of house music and a lot of Afro house, more specifically Afro tech, was probably my favorite. But I was like, this isn't that. But what is this? I couldn't really put my finger on it, and so I thought, do you know what? No one that I knew at the time was playing my piano, and I was like, being Nigerian, naturally playing Afro beats would have probably been the natural course, or being a fan of live music, R&B. But I was like, I just want to do something a bit more niche. Again, I don't know, post lockdown, that'll be me done. Um, and so I just started playing with my piano, and then I started just putting out mixes. And I was putting out mixes just to keep myself accountable, like
Yeah,
just to
the
see.
After Hours series.
Yeah, just that
Yes.
was literally it. It was just me practicing, putting it out, hearing my mistakes, make sure the next mix is better. And then from there, talking to Smiles was just like, oh, why don't we create a platform for us to play? Because no one knows what the scene's gonna look like post lockdown. Would we even be allowed out? All of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how Red Room was born. Obviously, he was doing his thing as well at the same time during lockdown, and then from there we just started playing on the platform that we created, and then it kind of just picked up from there.
I actually had flashbacks of the first time you did a Red Hour special with Ade in lockdown, and we saw you in the Red Room with Ade. And I think everyone got quite excited because there was a lot of growth, and no one really knew that you was really getting into it like that. So it was a beautiful journey because it's actually created a community. So do you feel that the community around you has really lifted you up, and that is a part of your what I see as your success? Because I feel like you're definitely one of the tastemakers on the scene.
Yeah, do you know what? It's been an interesting journey because I didn't know where it would take us, how far it would go, if it'd go anywhere at all. So what's been really cool is outside of the music, it's just the relationships that we've created
Mhm.
because of the music. So I've met so many people that, if not for me DJing, or the existence of Red Room, I probably wouldn't have met, because either geographically we don't live anywhere near each other,
Mhm.
or we don't go to the same places, and so just because of the music, we've ended up meeting and then forming that bonds and relationships, which to some degree is bigger than the music in
Yes.
itself. And so I think in that sense, yeah, it's been cool. And then obviously because we DJ'd piano specifically in the UK so early, now kind of seeing all the new DJs coming out and the new talented folks coming out, it's been cool to see that evolution as well. Not just of the sound, but of the people playing it, how they play it,
Mhm.
and how the crowd is responding as well. Because again, when we was playing in Red Room, we got to like the way we formatted Red Room meant like the DJs weren't so separated from the crowd, which
Yes.
means they can be around you, and because of that, we get to know people and we get to speak to them and create those bonds. And not to say that's changed now, but with some of these bigger events, you don't have the ability to do that because
Mm.
obviously it will be a bit mad for the DJ. So um, you might not get to know the people that you're playing for, playing to. So in that sense, yeah, it's been good. It's been good, and beautiful to see, to be honest. And
Yeah,
yeah,
because some of my closest friends were made in those red rooms, red hours, extended editions when we used to take flight till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's a beautiful community. And what I want to get onto now is spoken about some of the positives, but there's always going to be struggles and negatives in anything you do. So what I wanted to ask is, what has been the most challenging thing for you as you've grown on your journey?
I think one of the challenges probably for me personally is probably just putting myself more out there. Um, I like to just kind of stay in my lane, man,
Mm-hmm.
play my music, and again because I just enjoy it, I don't push it or chase it as a career,
Mm-hmm.
which some would say, oh, like you know, go out more, meet more people,
Yeah.
etc. But I'm also a big believer of what will be, and things kind of happening more like naturally.
Yes.
And that's not to say that you putting out there doesn't do that, but I think just my style and what fits with my brand and my personality, I prefer it that way. But I think another good challenge for myself, and I don't really see these challenges as negatives, it's just again these new DJs coming out and seeing what they're doing, how they're playing, what they're playing, how the crowd is reacting to it. I'm even like before I was DJing, I'm very observative, and I
Mm-hmm.
would watch DJs in SA and see how they do things, and try and fit my style of way of doing it in the same way, and seeing how the DJs over here are doing and how they're pushing it and what people are liking and not liking. It's good to see and compare to SA. And I might not do some certain things personally, but I can kind of understand the thinking behind a lot of it. So um just I think a lot of people come to me or speak to me about the scene and what we can do to push it forward. And I'm always a big believer in, like, it takes everyone to kind of do their part to kind of
Mhm.
strive forward.
Yeah, definitely. And also wanted to ask you one more question in that vein. Can you tell us about a time maybe that you didn't feel motivated to do this, or you felt like giving up, and how you would have, um, basically, as Missy would say, flip and reverse that feeling and situation?
Um, yeah, I think, to be honest, I'm a lover of hearing new music, and
Mhm.
so probably the times where I'm not feeling it so much, as if either I personally or is hearing the same music, or if I'm not hearing, like, if I'm not hearing new music, or if I'm asked to play the same music over and over again, kind of gets boring.
Mhm.
To be frank. Um, but what I always say to myself is, like, and again, because I'm not chasing it as a career, I have the privilege of just saying, I don't want to do this for now. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna break.
Yeah. Exactly.
I wanna go listen to some R&B, some hip hops, just something different, so that when I come back, I hear it with a fresh pair of ears and kind of
Yeah.
re fall in love with it. So I think for me, it's just yeah, being okay with just stepping away for a bit and doing something else, and then kind of coming back to a fresh set of ears. And even, like, when I think of how I play, that's evolved over time, and what I would typically play versus what I play now evolves. And I think I'm lucky enough to have been kind of at the beginning of the piano sound,
Mhm.
and so I kind of get the opportunity to grow with it. So as it gets bigger, I'm kind of growing alongside of it. So as new sounds are coming out, I'm also kind of hearing it. But that grants me the ability to still go back into my bag and play something from 2019 that maybe some of the new DJs aren't so much aware about, because
Oh
they weren't
gosh, I
really
just
about
watched
the.
the last Red Hour Fajika parties, and like, yeah, I went on a journey with that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm fortunate because now I've got years, like 6 7 years worth of music, all on my laptop that I can kind of refer back to. And depending on where I am and what I'm like, I've gone to a booking with one plan in my mind, and I've played one song that was a bit of a throwback, and I was like, I'm gonna stay here.
Mm.
And it worked, and I enjoyed it. And again, I've played somewhere completely different and played something more newer, and but not so commercial. And again, that fitted my mood at that time. So and it worked. So yeah, it's one of my
I
benefits.
have to say, one of your skills is reading the room. Reading the room. Because I've been at parties where you've played, and you do read the room and the energy of the room, and you know how to make them move and groove.
Yeah. I think, do you know what? It's mad. Like, as a DJ, it's a difficult job, because sometimes you just want to play what you love.
Mm.
You also want to play what the crowd love, but maybe what the crowd love is really just commercial, and someone else can do that, and
Mm.
you want to still stay in brand. So, I think just I'm an analytical person, and so I try and find that balance between playing what people like, but they don't know they like yet, and
Yes.
introducing to them to that kind of new music, and giving them something that can kind of they can reminisce on, but in a different way. And so, that's the beauty of being able to use acapellas, remixes, and and the like.
Yeah, I've definitely started to get into my practice hours with the acapellas, and I'm having fun. So I hear you on that one. I'm gonna ask you one more question, but we need to hear some music. What do we say round our ways? How greedy?
Yeah.
I am being a bit greedy today because I'm about to have a one-woman Olayemi special. But before we get into that, I'm gonna ask one more question for closing. I had loads. I've got loads I want to ask him, so he's definitely gonna be coming back. But I want to ask, how do you stay connected to your passion and purpose? And what do you have in your well-being toolkit? So what does keeping grounded and being well look like to you?
Honestly, probably just my faith.
Mhm.
So a big part of my personality is my faith, it's my Christianity and my walk, and I try and carry that in everything that I do, and knowing that there is a higher power, that is Jesus Christ. It just makes sure that it just always keeps me grounded in anything and everything that I do, because at the end of the day, everything that I put on display creatively starts from him.
Yes.
And so like I try and make sure everything I do to the best of my ability is a good representation of him, and just knowing that just keeps you humble, because again that can all get taken away from you.
Mhm.
And I've seen it where people are like flying high, and then quite quickly all of that comes crashing down.
Mhm.
And so again also, and this is why I kind of don't call this a career, where it's like I don't want this to be my identity. It just wants to be a part of who I am and what I do and what I
Mhm.
love to do. And when I do it, I like to do it to a high, to a really high level, because again of who gave me the ability to do it.
Do you know what? On that note, you need to get in the mix. Olayemi, what a pleasure, what a blessing.
Thank you so
Uh,
much.
but just before you get inside the mix,
Yeah.
let everyone know where they can find you and where you're playing next.
So on all social medias, it's Olayemi, but with an X, so OLXYEMI. So that's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X as they call it now. Next couple of gigs coming up is 5 to 9 on the 26th of February. I'll be playing down in Canary Wharf. And also big up my brother Smiles. He's got a gig in about 2 weeks where we'll be celebrating his birthday as well. So come check that out as well.
Yes, and on that note, he'll also be playing at AM Ascension Spoken Word Sound Bath with a curated DJ set by Addy Smiles. But for now, I get a curated set from Olayemi. Let's go.